Edward D. Jones Sr. opened his first office, a single room with 3 chairs, in downtown St. Louis in 1922. Jones had a simple but unique concept: treat associates as partners, and focus on service to clients, and be involved in your community. The idea worked in a big way. Edward Jones is now the world's largest investment firm by number of financial advisors. It's in all 50 states and Canada, working with more than 7 million clients and managing more than $1 trillion of assets. Still based in St. Louis, Edward Jones is now led by the firm's 6th managing partner and the first female managing partner, Penny Pennington. Pennington began her career with Edward Jones in 2000 as a financial advisor in Livonia, Michigan. She came to St. Louis in 2006 when she was promoted to principal. Penny has taken on the challenges of civic leadership, personal health issues, raising a family, and leading a huge corporation in a traditionally male-dominated field. Not only has she met all those challenges, she has succeeded at them. An amazing communicator and visionary leader, Penny Pennington agreed to sit down for an open and frank discussion about her journey, the future, and being a role model for young women. HEC TV is now proud to present a conversation with Penny Pennington. Penny, thank you so much for sitting down and talking to us. I know you're extremely busy today, but it's a good chance for people to get a chance to know who you are and how you work.
Thank you.
Can you tell me, who is Penny Pennington personally?
Well, I love what I do. Many people have said that if you love what you do when you go to work every day, you don't work a single day in your life. So I don't feel like I have a job to go to. But Edward Jones, we talk about it as a family, and so my family extends to Edward Jones. I have a daughter who's with Edward Jones, and my husband is very involved in the firm. I'm married to Mike. We've been married for 19 years, coming up in just a couple of weeks. I have 2 daughters.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I have 2 grown daughters, Kate and Meg. They're here in town. And we have a wonderful time together. I love being outside. I love being outside here in St. Louis. Forest Park is one of my favorite places. I'm a big hiker. I love nature, and so being
like getting outdoors.
Yeah, absolutely. The Grand Canyon is one of my favorite places, so I love being there and hiking.
What sort of reads would we find on your library shelves?
Yeah. So right now I'm reading a book by David Brooks. He's written this book that the concept is the second mountain of one's life. The first mountain of one's life is kind of creating success in your career and your family. The second mountain of one's life is about creating the meaning with which your life is imbued and is all about your purpose. So I'm enjoying reading that. I also love art. I love contemporary art in particular, and I love our art museums here, CAM and SLAM, love those organizations. So I love reading art books, and going to art museums, and I buy the catalog,
right,
and I come home and devour that in the evening. So you'd find that on my bedside
It's nice to go back and relook at the pictures and things and see what the deeper meaning was.
Exactly, yeah.
What about music and food loves?
Yeah.
St. Louis is a great food town.
It is indeed. Well, I have the blessing of being married to an incredible chef. So people say, well, what's your favorite restaurant? There are some incredible restaurants here. My favorite restaurant is my husband's kitchen.
There you go.
So whenever I can be there is a treat. Music, I love any kind of music. I'm a big fan of classical music. That's what I listen to coming and going to work every day is classical music. So Sirius Radio, but also 107.3 locally here in St. Louis is a terrific classical music station. I find that it gets my brain going in ways that are really helpful to me in the work that I do here every day. So I love classical music. On the weekends, I listen to KDHX, listen to Coffee House on Sirius Radio. We have an associate here, Keith Dudding, who's a perennial. Every Saturday morning, he's got a show on KDHX, so I just love listening to him.
Do you get much downtime from the office with this huge organization that you're in charge of?
Yeah. I demand a little downtime because there's no way that I can be what I need to be for the organization without refreshing myself a little bit. That downtime comes every day. I get a little bit in the morning. I meditate every morning. I get a little bit of alone time by myself every night, no matter what's going on, about an hour that I spend alone reading those art books every night. And then Sundays for my family tend to be the space that we don't let anything else invade. So spending time, we go to lunch together, we go do something on Sunday afternoons. This past Sunday we drove down to Washington to Brian Haynes' art gallery.
So it's very important to have that life balance then.
Yeah. Someone very wise said to me that there is no balance, work, life, family, there's no balance, there's integration. And so I think about it over, I know it's not going to be well integrated on any particular day. It's probably going to be heavy on one side or the other. But if I look at my life over a week or a month or maybe 3 months, I want to see that balance and the things that I love outside of work, the things I'm responsible for at Edward Jones, my family, my friends, being outside. I want to see that balance happening.
And that balance makes you a better corporate leader.
Well, that's insightful. I believe that it does. We're real human beings. Every single one of us is a real human being. So when my colleagues recognize me as a real human being, not simply the leader of this organization, when I recognize my colleagues and 48,000 associates at our firm as real human beings with their desires and their passions, when we know each other on that level, frankly, it helps us be more attuned to know our 7 million clients on that kind of personal level. And that's what our firm is all about, is knowing people, being in relationship with people, trying to help them achieve what's most important to them.
Now, you're in a rarefied position here. This industry has forever been the old boys club. And you're one of a handful of women, and you have this huge organization behind you. Did you ever dream this big when you were a young girl in school?
Yeah. Well, our industry has historically tended to be more male dominated. While I am one of the few CEO level leaders in our industry, there is a great number of very senior women in influential roles in our organization and in others. So I don't think that this is going to be a forever situation where I'm one of the only few. I can't wait to welcome a great many more folks of greater diversity into the senior ranks of all of our organizations. But to your point, did I think about this as a young person? I watched my parents as contributors, as executives in the organizations that they led. And it always felt to me like I could do whatever I wanted to do. For a while, I wanted to be an attorney. I became a banker. I watched my parents contribute to the organizations that they were a part of, and just recognized that I could be that and I could do that. And in fact, my parents raised me with an expectation that I was going to make a great contribution. My father was the CEO of a publicly held company. He retired from there several years ago. But I watched him and his leadership journey and
no one
learned a
ever
lot
told
there.
you you're a girl, you can't do that because that's a man's world.
Dennis, nobody ever said that to me out loud. Now, was that going on in the background somewhere? I have no doubt that it was. And in fact, there's probably that going on unconsciously all the time, because society has grown up in particular ways and has particular unconscious biases about folks who may not quite fit the mold or look quite like what has been there before. I am hopeful and I expect that society is becoming much more open to understanding that it takes all of us being at the table. So I also don't want to discount that while my experience was that nobody said directly to me, "Penny, I doubt you can do that because you're a girl," I have colleagues who that has been their experience. They have had that said to them, and that's a defining an experience, and one that I would love to be part of never having happen again.
Well, if you look at your educational resume, you were very smart. And anyone who
I
looks
think
at
I
it
just
could-
work hard.
Well, you're very successful at working hard. Were there times when there were guys that you could tell were just patronizing you, or saying, oh, she's okay, but she's a girl, and they didn't quite get it, that you understood everything that was going on?
Well, I'm not sure I've always understood everything that was going on. I kind of walk into most situations knowing that I have a tremendous amount to learn, and whomever is there to help me learn, I am happy to partner with. Those that I get a sense may discount me or discount the opportunity that I might have to contribute to this situation, I generally just move on and find somebody else to partner with. So maybe it sounds a little bit Pollyanna, but again, I haven't had that many of those kinds of experiences.
If they're not going to treat you as an equal, they don't deserve to be partner.
We're all in it together is a phrase I use often.
Has being a woman helped you in your career?
I think it has helped me. So here's how I think it's helped me. I was a financial advisor for Edward Jones in Livonia, Michigan. I was there for 6 years and built a very successful practice there that I was really proud of, because I know that I was making a difference in families' lives there in that community. And I was one of the very few women financial advisors in that community. So you always want to stand out. I mean, you want to stand out in all the best ways. I stood out. I mean, if you were looking at a picture of the Rotary Club in the newspaper in 2002, there weren't quite as many women there as men, and there weren't quite as many women financial advisors as men financial advisors. I stood out. I've always been quite happy to stand out in the ways that matter, in really healthy ways. I also believe that women have a natural sense of empathy, of nurturing, of trust building, and in the relationship business, that's a very positive attribute to have.
What would Ted Jones think about a woman running the company that bears his name?
So interesting story there. Last fall, after the announcement that it had been made that I was going to be the firm's 6th managing partner, I went and visited some people who are iconic at our firm, my predecessors as managing partners. Some legends at our firm, like Frank Finnegan, who's passed away now. But I also went out and saw Pat, and I've met Pat a number of times. And when she greeted me, she said, "Congratulations." She said, "I'm glad to see a woman running Edward Jones. You know, Ted depended on good women to get things done." And that went straight to my heart. She knew that I needed that kind of blessing from her, and that I welcomed it so much. So I'll take it from Pat's lips that's what Ted would think.
I think Pat's probably right. To all those young ladies out there who are watching this and they see you as a role model, an inspiration, what would you say to them? Because they're not going to have an easy, the glass ceiling is not shattered, it may be cracked and dented, but looking over my shoulder and talking directly to those young ladies out there, what would you say to them about building a career in this industry, in business in general, in life?
Yeah. I've heard this quip from time to time, especially that women say, or folks who aren't the traditional majority in whatever setting we're talking about, business or community or what have you. If I can see it, I can be it. If I had required of myself that I could see another woman in this role before I was willing to think about being in this role myself, I might not be where I am today. So to all the women, the young women, folks who are looking for great opportunity in places that they may not see someone who looks just like them, that doesn't matter. What matters is who you are, who you uniquely are. And I think this is important, finding a place where you are embraced, where there is a desire among the folks there to create a place of belonging. They may not be perfect at it. As I said earlier, we are all made up of unconscious bias that comes from our experience, our perspective. That's there. It's not going to go away completely. But a place where you can find yourself in relationship with other people who are looking for all of us to be successful collectively, probably for a greater good in our organization. We all need to be successful collectively for the benefit of our clients, and we need to bring your perspective and my perspective to the table to do that. So find that kind of place.
What is Penny Pennington's leadership style? You've got 45,000,
yeah.
and $1 trillion in assets under management. How does any person, male, female, whatever, run an organization that huge?
Yeah. Well, this phrase, run an organization, I don't run this organization. This organization operates because 45,000 of us get up every morning thinking about our clients, thinking about the future that we want to create with and for our clients. So I don't take it as my responsibility to run this organization. Your question about what my leadership style is, I call it participative leadership. I have a going in point of view about what the ambition level of this organization should be. The way that we want to take care of our clients, the number of clients that we ought to be taking care of over time. I've got a very high ambition level for the organization, and I am very willing to come to the table and state my going in point of view about what our vision should be, where we should go, and maybe even a little bit of how we get there. But there is no way I'm going to create that on my own. The only way to get to the right answers about that, and in fact to ratify if that's the right vision, if that's the right ambition level, is to come together as a group of colleagues to do that. Now I have a leadership team that's very close to me, our executive leadership team, that is my the first group that I work with that on. But my job is to enlarge that reference point so that there are more of us co-creating this future together, and to create the kind of conditions that enable really smart people to come together for our clients' best interest to determine what it is that they need and want.
So you surround yourself by very smart people and set very high goals.
Yeah. I say my job is to set the ambition level of the organization, and the ambition level is very high, and I've learned that from my predecessors, and then to create the conditions that enable that ambition to be met. That's my job here.
We've talked about the obstacles that young women will face as they go through their careers. You had a tremendous one at age 39 when you were diagnosed with breast cancer. How did that shape your career vision?
Yeah. So I'm a cancer thriver. You and I both are. It's a big sister and brotherhood of folks who have had a life-changing event as a result of maybe a health crisis or something traumatic, something that we didn't ask for, right? But what it did was to shape me about what's important, about the power of relationship. I'll share a brief story about that. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was growing my practice and building trust with families in my community so that I could help them as their financial advisor. And when I was diagnosed, I was terrified that my clients and prospective clients would say, well, who wants to work with a financial advisor who might die? I'm just going to take my business elsewhere. And instead what happened is the outpouring of love from those folks that I was serving them, but they turned it around and began to serve me while I was in that crisis. And they brought me teddy bears and stacks of books about nutrition and health and rosary beads, and they prayed for my family. There was this outpouring of care and concern for me at that time, and what it helped me to recognize is that we are all in service to each other. That's what real meaning in business is about for me, and in the ways that I work in the community.
You just took the job as the managing partner. You will have probably about 10 years before you hit the mandatory retirement age.
That's right.
What will Edward Jones look like in 2029? What would you like it to look like?
Yeah. There's this quote from Bill Gates that says, the world has never moved as fast as it's moving today, and it will never again move as slowly as it's moving today. So I have no idea what it's going to look like 10 years from now. What I do expect, we serve 7 million clients today. What I do expect is that we'll be serving several million more clients. in many more communities in a more concentrated way, especially in metropolitan communities. I expect that will happen. We'll be serving them more deeply. So we will be helping them achieve outcomes, more of the outcomes that are important in their lives. And naturally, we're going to have many more thousand associates here at Edward Jones who are doing that work, several more thousand financial advisors, branch office administrators, and home office associates. And what I do hope is that when they look back at my leadership, they will say that Penny helped build great leaders who were much more quickly, way better than she was as a leader of the organization.
So your personal measurement of success in your administration here will be more about the people than about the dollars and the numbers.
Absolutely. The dollars and the numbers come as a result of doing good work and making good decisions about doing that work in a durable, sustainable way that builds trust in the marketplaces that we serve. Those numbers will come. It's about the relationships and about the people that we're here to serve.
I appreciate your time. We've got to wrap up. Any one last thing you'd like to say to the young women out there who are looking to you and saying, I want to be her someday?
One last thing is that I am terrified every single day coming in here. There's going to be something new that's going to happen to me. There's going to be something unexpected. There's going to be a meeting or an experience like this one that I've never had before. And as I get dressed every morning, I just look at myself in the mirror and say, you've been uncomfortable before. You've been in places that it was all new to you before. Just lean in, enjoy it, do your best. And at the end of the day, you will have learned something that you didn't know when you're looking at yourself in the mirror right now. So get comfortable being uncomfortable.
And that'll lead to success.
Indeed.
Penny, thank you so very much for taking your time. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.